This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Being outside is good for us. It's that simple. And trails make it easy for us to walk, bike, and be active outside in our own backyards. On the trail, we see people moving, connecting with their communities, making the places where they live great. For 40 years, Rails to Trails Conservancy has led the way, creating trails across the country, making it safer and easier for everyone to get outside. They want you to get involved. Find your trail and start your journey today at railstotrails.org/iHeart and follow at Rails to Trails on social.
Hi, welcome to Vanished Voices. We're your hosts. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Shannon. Real quick, if you've been listening to this show and it's meant something to you, leave us a review. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, wherever you are. If you listen on YouTube, subscribe and hit the bell. It takes a few seconds and it helps us reach the people who haven't heard these stories yet. All right, let's go.
All right, thank you. The video is 11 seconds long. A hiker, somewhere up the trail near Otter Camp, catches movement in the Wakiba River and lifts their phone almost as an afterthought. The water there isn't for swimming. There's a sign about that somewhere back down the path. But a woman is in it anyways, waist deep, then chest deep, moving with the kind of ease that tells you this isn't her first time in this river. She doesn't look afraid. She doesn't look like someone running from anything or towards anything. She just looks like a woman in a river on an ordinary Saturday in December. The hiker doesn't think much of it, puts the phone away, keeps walking. It will be almost 3 weeks before that footage means anything to anyone. 3 weeks before a family sits in a room and watches 11 seconds of grainy video over and over, trying to find their daughter, their sister, their cousin in the blur of it, trying to read a face too far away to read. Her name is Paola Marie Miranda-Rosa. She was 31 years old. She had one dog waiting for her at home. She had a Christmas gift list sitting in the front seat of her car, and a sister expecting her for a visit that same afternoon. Now that river footage, grainy, distant, only 11 seconds, is the last confirmed sighting anyone has of her. Not a photograph, not a phone call, not a goodbye. Just Paola waist deep in water, walking into what her family still calls, 4 years later, an answer they haven't been given yet.
So the hiker didn't think it was odd when there's a sign saying not for swimming that there's somebody in the water?
I mean, they did enough to take a video of it, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I guess...
I mean, yeah, you mind your business and
exactly.
keep it moving.
Keep hiking. Now, before Paola was a case file, before she was a missing person flyer stapled to a cork board in a state park, she was, by every account her family gives, a homebody. She wasn't the type to disappear into a crowd or a nightlife scene. Her cousin Cecilia has described her as someone who actually didn't go out much at all. No wild social calendar, no long list of places she needed to be. But what she had instead was this small, tight orbit. She had her dog, who she doted on the same way some people dote on children, which I totally get.
Yes.
Her best friend, and her family, especially her mother, who she talked to constantly. Not checked in with once a week, but constantly, as in multiple times a day, constantly. It's the kind of relationship where a long silence isn't just unusual, it is immediately, obviously wrong. Paola worked as a paralegal. She was, by her family's telling, deeply reliable, the kind of person whose absence gets noticed, like we said with the phone calls, within hours, because everyone around her already knows what her presence is supposed to look like. Her family says she loved water. Specifically, she loved this water, the Wekiva River in Wekiwa Springs State Park, the whole stretch of Central Florida wilderness that would, within weeks, become the last place anyone could place her. Her family says that she went there often. Cecilia has called her, quote, the swimming fish of the family, someone for whom wading into a spring-fed river wasn't a leap into the unknown, but something closer to a habit.
Oh, it's near Orlando.
Yeah, it's like a place where she felt
so
good.
that's a known place for her.
Right.
And somewhere she's used to. Now knowing it's in Central Florida, yeah, I'd be kind of afraid of alligators too, but maybe she just didn't care.
Maybe. Now, kind of like we just mentioned, it's worth sitting with for a second. It does cut against the instinct, maybe your instinct listening to this, to hear, quote, found wading in a river in a restricted swimming area, and assume recklessness or crisis or an ending already written. But to her family, that same detail reads the opposite way. It's ordinary. It's explainable. It's Paola being Paola. It's the kind of gap that shows up again and again in this case.
So I just had to Google, and it does say that it's actually safe to swim there. There are alligators, but it's because there's no lifeguards on duty. So it's almost like swim at your own risk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. So yes, I think it's swim at your own risk because there's nobody here to save you type thing.
Gotcha. But if she had done that all the time.
Right. Then yeah, she has no problem with it. It doesn't sound like her family thinks that was odd for her anyway.
No, they don't. So I listened to Paola's cousin, Cecilia. She was on a podcast with a friend of hers. It's called The Chronicles of Olivia. And she walked through all of it. And everything that Cecilia walked through, for the most part, is stuff I couldn't find in any other reporting.
Interesting.
And I mean, the reporting is very slim in this case anyways.
Yeah.
So it is coming from a family member compared to actual reports. But I think in this case, that's okay. There just isn't, these details are not out there.
Well, yeah. And I would be curious to see or hear what details she has because, she would probably be getting most information from the family anyway.
Yes. And she lives in the area close by.
So she was probably part of the search right off the bat.
She was the next day.
Yeah.
So she's been there through the whole thing. And this interview was from a year ago. So Cecilia mentions that Paola had lunch on Friday, and that lunch was with her mom and her grandma and her uncle. And as she's leaving, she says, I'll see you tomorrow. She's planning to go to her sister's house.
Okay.
And her mom is planning to meet her there. Nothing unusual. Nothing in hindsight anyone points to as a warning sign.
Okay.
She didn't really know what the plan was for the rest of Friday, but for Saturday, she had this robot vacuum that she had gotten that she was giving to her mom.
Okay.
And was planning to bring that. Just normal afternoon, unremarkable plan that families make 100 times a year without a second thought until she never arrives. Her mother, Yvonne, is the first to feel that something's wrong. The two of them talk constantly. It's just part of who Paola is. Now, Paola lives near the Wekiva State Park, and Cecilia says as well, they would go there all the time. They were always in the water. I guess up until this happened, there were not any signs that said, careful of alligators. It was the sign that said, no lifeguard on duty.
Yeah.
Swim at your own risk.
Okay.
Now, she talks about this river as a lot of places like knee deep. It's not like it's gonna sweep
more
you
like
away.
Wading.
Exactly. It's wading. It's maybe, she does mention that Paola's short.
Well, I mean, you can still sit in knee deep water and, if you're sitting, even as a short person, it can come up to your chest and you can still feel cooled off from a swim. I mean, you're not fully swimming laps, but you're still in the water enjoying it.
Exactly.
refreshing.
And that's, what she said they all did all the time.
Yeah. And I feel like waist deep, that's probably not, I mean, granted, I don't know alligator behavior, but I feel like that's probably almost too shallow for them.
Right. And one thing that she really does point out is there were no signs. There are now because they want to make it seem like that. But she points out it was December when typically they're hibernating.
Oh,
They're
I did
not
not
out
know they
hunting.
did that.
I did not know that either. And it's not to say that they can't come out and do something, but it's just not their normal.
Yeah. I mean, if you live in Florida, you know where alligators versus they're not. I mean, I know you have to assume some places there always are, but at this stage of the game, you've pretty much seen them where they're going to be at. So you know.
Right. And
especially if you live there.
This was like their favorite place to go.
Yeah.
So she knows. And along this river, there are also kayakers. There are other people that are in and out of the water, depending on where your hike is taking you to. It is not some remote destination.
Right.
It's heavily populated.
Okay.
On Saturday, she says that Paola woke up early to drive to the park to go on a hike before going to her sister's house. And the sister's house was close by. Okay. They didn't necessarily know that she was planning to do that, but she said it made sense. Saturday morning, go do a hike and then head over.
Especially if it's, again, something she normally does.
Exactly. Now, there is the video that we've talked about.
The 11-second one?
The hiker. It turns out there's actually 2 videos.
Oh.
And both similar, where it's like, oh, she's really enjoying that water. I'm going to take a quick video. I watched it quite a few times. It does look like she's wearing a swimsuit. Like she was prepared to go in the water that day.
Okay.
Part of it, you can see the water coming up to about her shoulders.
Okay. And she lives in the area, right? So, I mean, it makes sense. You're going to go on a hike, jump in the water to cool off, and then go home and change before you're meeting, your mom and your sister for lunch.
Yes. Or even having brought those things all off, you're just going to drop off and then go home.
Right.
That's totally understandable too.
Was the robot vacuum in the car?
It was.
Okay. And it's not too far-fetched to even think you're just going to go, like maybe you're going to just be in your car wet and go to your sister's house and then change into your dry clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, again, it's your sister. You just run into the bathroom and change really quick.
So it did look to me like she was prepared to get in the water.
Yeah.
So on Saturday afternoon, December 18th comes and goes without that usual call. It doesn't read to her as a busy day or a delayed text. To her, it reads as wrong. But, Paola is 31. So Yvonne waits through Saturday, hoping that she'll call and explain how her day went or why she missed seeing her sister. But that call doesn't come. And by Sunday, December 19th, so now 2 days after anyone last saw Paola, her mom can't wait any longer. She calls the Osceola County Sheriff's Office herself and reports Paola missing. There's something worth pausing on here. It is a detail that could easily get lost. Deputies didn't ask her to wait. And we know that's a persistent myth. You've probably heard it on television, and honestly, you've heard it in a lot of the cases that we've covered. And not because you're supposed to wait, but because that's what families get told. And you might have assumed that it was true, but let us reiterate, just in case you didn't know, that is not true. It's not true that police won't take a missing adult report until 24 or 48 hours have passed. And actually, that's never been the law anywhere in this country.
Interesting.
Because they really make it seem like it is.
Yeah.
But no, that's not the case. And here, it doesn't seem to have played out that way either, thankfully. Yvonne reported her daughter missing, so about a day after she first felt something was wrong, and the sheriff's office opened it immediately as an active case.
Was the press reporting on it too?
There was 1 or 2 small blurbs about her being missing.
A park that large, I would expect the press to say, hey, did you see this person? Like, I would think the police would use the press in this situation. Were you at the park? Did you see her at any point? What part of the park were you at? Call us.
And that must have come out the next day somehow, because one thing that the reporting gets wrong, according to Cecilia, is that both of those hikers brought the videos to police on that Sunday. Paola's family looks at the footage and confirms that's her. It shows a woman wading in the Wakiva River near an area called Otter Camp.
Oh.
That is what led them to go search the park in the first place.
Oh.
Which is very different from how the media and the news reports make it seem. What they didn't do was put those videos out to the public until that mid-January. And they did that in hopes that other people could say if they had seen her or not seen her.
Yeah.
But somehow both of them heard about it really quickly.
Yeah.
And brought those in. Now, Cecilia says that knowing that that's where Paola likes to go, they went to see if they could find her car in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And they were denied entry when they said they wanted to see if their missing daughter,
denied
sister,
entry
cousin,
because the park was closed or something?
That's what I can't figure out, but they wouldn't let them go in to look for the car. So I don't know if they were not wanting to pay like the park entrance fee, or if they're saying they just want to go look for a car and they're like, no, you can't do that. The next day they went just as going to the park. And that's when she says the family found her car first. And that also helped police search there. So having the videos from the hikers and then the family finding her car there with all of her stuff in it.
Interesting. I mean, I do get the car being there gives them because that gives them a search area. But interesting that it was already out there that prompted the videos to come in, which is what prompted them to search. I mean, I guess in conjunction with the car also being located.
Yeah, exactly.
So then I would say they weren't really responding quickly, but they were, but they weren't.
Right. And to search that massive of an area. But then also we have the point of if she were taken from there and nothing happened in the park, that search needed to include so much more space. From there, the investigation itself started pointing towards that one place, the Wakiva River, or the Wakiwa Springs State Park. By the time Orange County deputies searched the Sand Lake lot 2 days later, which was Tuesday, December 21st, they already had reason to be looking in that specific spot. When they search, they find Paola's car. It's a black 2011 Chevrolet HHR, and it's parked in that lot at the state park. In the car, they found her sandals, and they were covered in sand, like she had put them on, done her hike, which was over 2 miles.
Okay.
And there are rocks and branches. You don't do it barefoot.
Yeah. I'm surprised she was doing it in sandals.
Yeah.
But whatever.
And maybe it's the sandals because she's planning to go in the water.
Right.
That's easier to dry off than sneakers.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I wouldn't put sneakers in the water. They would get dirty. I mean, like dirty where you can't clean them.
Right.
Sandals are much easier.
To me, finding those sandals in the car proves that she made it back to the car.
Right. And again, I mean, if she knows the area, maybe it is one you can do in sandals.
Right. You know the path that's the easiest to do in the sandals.
If it's that populated, you've got a lot of people that it's a worn down path.
Right. Exactly.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Being outside is good for us. It's that simple. And trails make it easy for us to walk, bike, and be active outside in our own backyards. On the trail, we see people moving, connecting with their communities, making the places where they live great. For 40 years, Rails to Trails Conservancy has led the way, creating trails across the country, making it safer and easier for everyone to get outside. They want you to get involved. Find your trail and start your journey today at railstotrails.org/iHeart and follow at Rails to Trails on social.
They also found her phone, her keys, her wallet. Now, when we talk about that, okay, yes. Let's say you wanted to
A lot of hikers leave all that
phone
stuff in their car,
and your
though.
wallet.
Even here.
Aren't you going to take your keys, though?
Yes. They take that like one key, pop it in, but they leave their phone, wallet, everything else.
Yes.
Yeah, that's, again, normal.
Finding
for a
those
hike.
things normal. The keys, to me, is another sign that she at least made it back to her car.
Or she has just the car key like by itself that she can just pop in her pocket and left the big set of keys with the house keys and the mail key, etc. in the car.
For sure. But they did find a car key in the car.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking she made it back after being in the water.
That sounds legit as well. I'm thinking like you have your car keys on your big chain, but then you just have a car key
right
by itself that you use for your hikes.
Yeah.
Again, because a lot of people don't like hiking with stuff.
And that's entirely possible. I feel like I wouldn't know how many keys my sister has for her car.
Yeah.
If she has the one single for when she does go hiking
Mm-hmm.
and leaves everything else. So that's very possible. Now, the other thing that I didn't find in any of the reporting, but her cousin says there was a lunchbox in there that had juice, snacks, and importantly, she says 2 separate sandwiches.
Oh.
Which you can read as she didn't know which one she wanted, or you can read it as she was planning to meet somebody for lunch before going to her sister's in the afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, again, food for after you've done a hike, a little break. But yeah, that does sound like she was going to meet somebody and share a sandwich with them. Or at least not be rude and offer it to them.
Right. And, you know, importantly, she says that police never fingerprinted the car. They gave it.
Was she dating anybody at the time?
Not that they brought up
Okay.
anybody specific, but who's to say it wasn't, you know, a second or third date with someone she hasn't been.
Right. And what a great
telling the
date
family
going on a
apart.
hike with
Right.
something I like. But again, public setting should be safe.
Right. That parking lot had security cameras.
Oh,
They weren't working that day.
shocking.
Is there ever any other way to finish that sentence in
mean,
these cases?
Come on.
Always, right? Now, her cousin says that all of that leads her to believe she was either meeting someone or someone happened upon her when she was already back at the car. But police seemed bound and determined to make this ruling something happened in the water with an alligator. We're done. Case closed. Instead of looking into all of these other anomalies that point to a deeper investigation, if nothing else.
Right. I know it is weird. There was such a quick response, but for them to just decide this is the narrative right away and then dismiss it.
Right.
It is kind of odd.
It is.
Because especially we're not used to seeing quick responses that result, you know, and then this one was, and yet they just decided the narrative immediately.
Right. And she points out, yes, it was a fairly quick response, but she says they only searched for 72 hours. And this park is over 7,000 acres. And also, if they had gotten into her phone, maybe they could have seen
this, especially now knowing that there's 2 sandwiches. I mean, maybe she does eat 2 sandwiches at a time. You never know.
Totally.
After a 2-mile hike, who knows how hungry you are. But going with the theory that she may have met somebody or at least was planning to feed them, share the meal with them. I mean, it does lean more towards somebody she knew and maybe somebody that was like, hey, let's run up the street and get Slurpees. And so she just went with them.
And then something. Yeah.
Assuming, and I think that's the thing is like getting her to leave with the person.
Yeah, like we'll come right back.
On purpose.
Right.
And thinking nothing of it, which, yeah, if you're just going to run up to the store really quick with the person, you're going to leave all this stuff in the car because you're coming right back.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would still take my phone, but.
I mean, depending on who it was, if my phone's already in my car because I didn't want it while I was going to swim and hike, I would.
You're saying like if it was like a little bit further away?
Yeah, no, like if you're just running up to like the nearest convenience store, which again, if you know the area is like a 3-minute out. Because I'm thinking this is a park you're not having to pay to get into. It's just open to the public at all times. And like it's not like a Grand Canyon. It's just like Tempe Beach or whatever. Yeah, I can easily see leaving my stuff in the car just to go with them really quick while they grabbed something or whatever from the like 7-Eleven. Let me get a soda.
Yeah.
I would not be like, oh, hold on, let me get my phone. I mean, if it's
somebody you trust, you've already gotten on a couple of minutes with, or someone she knew better.
I mean, I think about when I go to the gym, I don't generally take my phone in with me. Like I haven't for years. So I'm just like, no, this is my time and I don't want the phone distraction. I mean, now I do because I use it for music, but there was times where that phone stayed in that locker for that 1 hour I was at that gym. And you cannot have access to me for an hour. You will survive.
Yes. And I think that's a very grounded way to live.
Yeah. I mean, and so going on a hike, I mean, you want to be paying attention to your surroundings, not jabbering away on your phone or playing with it.
Especially if you're planning to get in the water.
Yeah. Because then that's where I'm thinking, oh, somebody would steal it. So I wouldn't want it sitting on a rock on the side. Like, no, leave it in the car.
Now, on the reverse, she does say it's like a 45-minute walk to that river from where her car was parked.
Oh.
And even though, we're saying 2 miles, the way that it
almost sounds like that's the end of the hike. You pop in the water and then get cooled off and then hike back.
That's what it sounds like to me, too.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's saying, in her opinion, Paola would have taken her phone on that hike just to either have the map or in case something happened, have a waterproof bag and then put it back in the car with her shoes. Maybe she went to change. Maybe that's why there isn't.
Hiked with somebody who took their phone for the map.
Also possible. The only thing with that is they weren't seen in either video.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But that doesn't mean that they were like, oh, this water's too cold. I'm going to wait on the side.
Yeah. I think it would still be noticeable, even if somebody wasn't in the water, that they were together.
Yeah. Especially hikers that are around.
Especially because, again, 2 random people took a video of a hiker that they didn't know because they thought it was odd she was in the water. So I would clearly by herself. So yeah, that's, I don't know. That's interesting as well. Like, again, you have now 2 people who thought the situation was odd that compelled them to video it.
Yeah, that seems like there's something else there I'm missing, but I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
If it's just the time of year. I mean, even though it's still hot.
Oh, that's true. You said it was December, so it's cold.
Yeah.
I mean, even in Florida, the water's going to be, some people like that, but it's going to be cold.
Yeah. Which might be fine after a 45-minute hike if it's hotter than normal and humid and whatever else, but it is colder than summer.
I can imagine that you're taking the video because it's odd somebody's in the water in December.
Yeah. And you're going, I felt that. It was really cold.
I still think it's weird you took video of a random person, but...
Yeah. Helpful.
Yeah. Thank God you did.
Mm-hmm. And at least, like...
Thanks for being stalkerish, but yeah.
Yeah. For the stalkerish side of it, it's like it was 11 seconds, so quick and just...
Yeah, I'm shocked they even still had it. To me, that's almost like, oh, I accidentally hit the button and recorded. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I don't need this.
Yeah. Delete it same day. It is interesting. Maybe they did delete it.
2 people did it. Yeah, you can always recover it, but still.
Right. When you see that she's
2
missing.
people.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more interesting to me now.
Inside, they've also found a to-do list of Christmas gifts. Some already checked off. Specifically, she'd already bought presents for her dog. But everything you would need to leave a place is left behind. And that's what has been confirmed to be inside her car. Now, what's less clear is what happened to the car itself once it became the last physical trace of a missing woman. There's no public record, no report, no statement describing, standard forensic processing of that vehicle. And we'll come back to that silence because her family has something to say about it. There's another detail the family has pointed to, relayed through the Spanish language station Telemundo 31. Her dog was still at home, alone. Also, the Christmas tree lights were on. And to her family, that's not incidental. It's proof in their eyes that wherever Paola intended to go that day, home was still the plan. She wasn't leaving anything or anyone on purpose. The Osceola County Sheriff's Office, the lead agency since that's where Paola lived, partnered immediately with the Orange County Sheriff's Office since the park itself sits in Orange County. And the response is not small. More than 150 personnel. They have aviation, drones, canoes, boats, scuba divers. They bring in bloodhounds. They have mounted patrol units on horseback. And from Tuesday evening through Thursday evening, they cover several miles of the terrain and the waterways all around where the car was found. And none of that finds any trace of her. For 2 weeks, the case sits in that particular kind of limbo. Car found, person not, no new information, a family checking their phones every few minutes for a call that isn't coming. On December 28th, so now 11 days after Paola was last seen, her mother starts a GoFundMe. The goal is $15,000, enough the family hopes to hire a private investigator. Because at only 11 days in, they're already worried that waiting on the system alone isn't going to be enough. And you can tell the community support for them. Within the first 24 hours, they raise almost $10,000 of their goal. Yeah.
Did she have any history of mental illness? Like, could this have been where she's disoriented or something?
Investigators have put out that she had a history of bipolar.
Okay.
And her family has pushed back on that.
Oh.
And
they would know.
Right. So they said schizophrenic and bipolar.
Which is schizoaffective.
Yes. And so that's what deputies put out. But then her cousin says that Paola didn't have either of those things. They did say that she had spent time in a facility years earlier dealing with personal issues and depression.
Yeah.
But not the diagnosis that the police statements attached to her.
Okay.
Which is
weird, because why would they have that idea if it didn't come from the family?
Exactly. And I don't know if they're looking and see a stay and somehow make that connection, but I wouldn't.
But if it's years before,
right?
Like, you can't. No, they want to know, did she seem depressed now?
Right.
Not 10 years ago.
Well, and when I first started researching this case, I did think that she had that diagnosis until I went deeper. And I was like, wait, that's just what police are putting out?
Yeah.
I've never heard it that direction.
No.
Only the other way.
Weird.
Right. And, when we talked about a recent case, we talked about how one of their rules was that if somebody does have bipolar or schizophrenia or any of those, they're supposed to treat it as high priority.
Yeah.
And in this case, they do seem to treat it as high priority.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure because they're from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And they had a lot of trouble communicating. They couldn't even find an officer that spoke Spanish.
In Florida?
Yes. In such a high, dense Spanish
Orlando.
speaking.
Like, that seems not real.
Right?
Come on. Which Puerto Ricans speak Spanish. It's not even like Portuguese or whatever.
Right. It should be.
Yeah, like, that's interchangeable. I mean, I know there's different dialects and slangs. There's dialects within the US. Why wouldn't there be Spanish dialects as well?
Totally.
I mean, beyond Spain and Mexico type dialects.
Right, right. So Paola's sister, Andrea, did an interview with Refinery 29, and she mentioned in that interview that when Yvonne, Paola's mom, made the initial call to OCSO, when officers responded to the house, neither she nor they could communicate. So the officers that came didn't speak Spanish. And they do point out that that county is 56% Latina.
Yeah, I just don't buy that.
So she had to get Andrea on the phone to be this translator between the officers and her mom. And another quote from that source was that,
because even in my car accident, the police officer that contacted me to provide the details of the person who hit and run, but then they were able to get the info, they were like, they don't speak Spanish. So I had another officer get on to translate.
and so
We're in
here,
Scottsdale. Yeah, like, come on.
Right.
I mean, granted, we are in Arizona, but I would fully expect there to be Spanish-speaking police officers.
At least in a county that's more than half.
Right.
Right.
And it's Florida.
Yes.
I would say half that state is a Spanish speaker.
Totally. So that was mind-boggling. But I guess part of that, too, they did talk about Paola's mental health history and emphasis on history, but they were hoping that it would help with the urgency. And she says, quote, "It took an axe to the situation."
Yeah, because I mean, is it history or is it like, hey, she needs meds in 2 hours or...
She was saying history.
Yeah.
And they translated it into something completely different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
So I don't know why they did that. But so they get the footage swimming, but they confirm that's her. And then they didn't find a towel or change of clothes, anything resembling swim gear ever turns up with where she was or in her car. So they didn't find that like on the edge of the river or waiting for her in the car. And it sounds like if she had planned to go to the river that day, it might have been just a real quick thing. And then maybe it felt so nice, she couldn't help but get in. Investigators point out that it's a small detail, but it kind of complicates this story. You know, the swimming fish of the family just went for a swim like she'd done 100 times before. And maybe she did. People improvise. But it's also the kind of detail that opens the door to other explanations.
Yeah.
That something pulled her into the water she hadn't planned for, one way or another. And it doesn't appear, you know, on that 11-second clip, something that really, that she was in danger or
right.
needing help.
Not flailing or, yeah.
No. I mean, the hikers were more like, oh, you're not supposed to be swimming here. There's someone in the water. Quick video.
But, all right, she looks fine.
Exactly.
And go on your merry way.
Yes. So it was a break the case needed, and also in a way, the moment the case stalls for good. Because now investigators know roughly where she was and roughly when, but they don't have what happened next. This time, they come back with something they didn't have in December. They brought a portable underwater camera system, Zistos. It's this high-intensity rig with its own lights, and it's built to see into the kind of hard-to-reach, you know, maybe root-tangled, exactly,
Swamp.
spots that a diver working blind might swim right past. Sheriff Marcos Lopez was direct about why it mattered. They said that she could have left the water and gone anywhere from there. But in December, they simply didn't have equipment built to search underwater like this. But now they did. So they were planning to use it.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Being outside is good for us. It's that simple. And trails make it easy for us to walk, bike, and be active outside in our own backyards. On the trail, we see people moving, connecting with their communities, making the places where they live great. For 40 years, Rails to Trails Conservancy has led the way, creating trails across the country, making it safer and easier for everyone to get outside. They want you to get involved. Find your trail and start your journey today at railstotrails.org/iHeart and follow at Rails to Trails on social.
Starting the morning of January 6th, they scour a 4.5-mile stretch of river near where that video was taken. They spend 3 more days searching on top of everything already done in December, and they find nothing, no trace of her.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that it wasn't an alligator because you would have found pieces.
Right.
They don't eat you whole. They
even hair or
you get pieces of
jewelry,
people.
part of a shoe. I mean, anything. And they find absolutely nothing.
Yeah, like that's not an alligator.
No. By the end of that month, so January, the sheriff's office indicates that it doesn't plan to return to the park. They said the scale of their search had been enormous. I mean, really enormous. The kind of resource commitment that pushes back against any easy story about a case that nobody cared about. And yet, 3 weeks after Paola Miranda-Rosa left her grandmother's house to go see her sister, the official search for her was effectively over. Cecilia says that cops were much less involved from day one than they've put out to the media in the few things that the media has. She says they would not call the family back. They wouldn't do the basics of an investigation like getting into her phone. Her family has her phone. They still haven't been able to break into it. And, dusting the car for fingerprints, any geolocations, anything like that to see who was in the area when she was. I mean, you have a pretty specific time frame. You have a pretty specific area. You know where her car was. You know the distance from here to the river back. I don't understand why we're not doing more with that.
Yeah.
Her family's, though, was just getting started. By the time Paola had been missing for 7 months, her cousin, Cecilia, wasn't being quiet about how she felt.
It's funny. I watched a show this weekend and it involved a missing person. And it was very striking because the missing person detective, they found the person. So then it got turned over to homicide. But it was a very much a clear handoff, which I don't really feel like we always see between I'm truly a missing person detective and I'm a homicide detective.
Right.
But was also interesting was the missing person detective says, I have 60 cases that sit on my desk at one time.
Wow.
And this was Texas and not a small town. So I'm like, and that was also back in like the 90s. So I'm like, I wonder for, departments that actually have a missing person detective, how many cases they're assigned at any given time. And again, not defending, but it does kind of create a clearer picture as to why missing persons seem to be difficult.
Yeah.
Because
overworked.
How do you research the activities of 60 different people as one person? Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, that's a different perspective.
It is.
But again, I mean,
well, and that's what I hear from a lot of
maybe staff instead of weapons. I don't know.
Something.
Yeah.
That's what I hear with cold cases so often is like the detective was able to put so much time into this cold case because they had just moved into that position before they had 60 cases.
Right.
Whereas, and those ones are the ones you see popping up and having progress compared to ones that are 59 of however many. Yeah. Now, Paola's cousin told the Orlando Sentinel in July of 2022, she said, quote, "It's very frustrating. The type of response that we've gotten from all the police departments. As a family, we're very frustrated as humans. Their indifference hurts us." And the word that stood out to me was indifference, especially set against everything we just walked through. I mean, at the beginning, they did have 150 officers, 3 days of searching, the underwater cameras, bloodhounds, planes, drones, mounted officers. It's not that nothing happened, but it is, from the family side of it, everything that could already had, and it still wasn't enough. They didn't find her, and then only 3 weeks in, it stopped. Now, specifically, Cecilia has claimed that investigators never fingerprinted Paola's car, which, in her view and mine as well, seems like a basic step for a vehicle recovered under those circumstances. I don't understand that. She's described a sense that the investigation moved fast for exactly as long as it took to mount that one big search, and then slowed to basically nothing. So, like we talked about earlier, right in the beginning of this case, deputies noted that Paola had schizophrenia.
Did they impound her car or did they release it back to the family?
There's no public information on
Okay.
that. And Cecilia, I don't think, mentioned it in that interview, just that they never fingerprinted it. Now, they did take the car to University of Central Florida to have like their criminology department look at it and see if they could find anything. I don't know if that was really recent or what came from that, but it's just one example of the family being the ones to contact the media, being the ones to put the flyers up, being the ones to try to break into the phone, being the ones to see if there are possibly unknown fingerprints in that car. It feels like every step of the way they've had to take on this investigation. And she just talks about how much money all of it is.
Yeah.
If they're not treating it as a crime scene. Deputies also said that she made threats to harm herself. And then they said, though not recently and not anywhere near the time she disappeared. But
then
right.
So what?
That information, though, them putting it out, became part of the public record almost immediately. And Cecilia, along with Paola's sister Andrea, disputes that characterization directly. She says that Paola didn't have either of those diagnoses, and that while she had spent time dealing with personal issues and depression, not the same thing as the diagnosis attached to her in police statements.
Completely different.
And I don't understand where they got that from. I don't know if it got lost in translation or an assumption. I truly can't figure that out. And while that's attached to the public narrative, they never talked about foul play. Her family has spent every year pushing back on all of that framing really hard. By the 1-year mark in December of 2022, the family had moved into a different register entirely. They launched a mobile billboard campaign, and they went public with something they'd been quietly afraid of for months, that Paola might have been trafficked. And it's not a theory that law enforcement has confirmed or even spoke on. It's not one they've ruled out either, at least not publicly. What we do know is that the family took it seriously enough to reach out to the FBI directly, hoping for federal resources that a state case on its own just doesn't get. That federal request is still, as far as the family is concerned, unresolved. And that's what sits at the center of what makes this case hard to categorize. Now, she talks about how another girl was almost abducted at the same park about a year later. And this one was able to get away. And she believes the man responsible is in custody. But she's wondering if there's some kind of connection and or pattern. She talks about how this is a state park. If it were a federal park, the FBI would get involved.
Right.
Because it's a state park, they're not interested. She has a petition that we'll link to try to ask the FBI for assistance. But, and we see this in a lot of other cases in other ways. If you know you're doing something like this, it is smart to pick the state park where only kind of local law enforcement a little bit is going to pay attention.
Yeah.
we're not going to the FBI. They're not coming to look. And
has she spoken to the girl that was abducted, or attempted abduction a year later?
mm-mm. She said just from seeing it in the news.
Did she try to contact her?
I don't know. That would be really smart.
Yeah, because I would be curious to see or hear her version, just to see if it maybe helped
like the timeline of events line up.
Were you by this specific river? Were you on this trail? Like, how did it happen?
Did you know this person
Did you meet
before?
this person and agree to, make a sandwich for them and eat it at the car and go on a hike together? Is there something the same?
Right. Similarities. Maybe we could look into him a little more if this isn't been isolated.
That's a year later in the same area. I would have some questions.
Yeah. She's saying there is a pattern going on here and nobody's paying attention.
Yeah.
She says when they went back there and the first day they weren't able to look at the park, but the next day they were. She believes that they found footprints from the river headed back to the car that they believe. I mean, she said it just is so specific for the shoes that Paola had, her foot size, whatever the case may be. But the family really strongly believes that she did her hike, she went in the river and was headed back, or they believe she made it back to her car, specifically because of the sandals. And then something happened after that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the bummer about even having those hiker videos, because that led police to say, here's the end.
Right.
And this happened in the water. They're already looking for something to show that someone was ripped apart by an alligator here.
The alligators don't eat you whole.
No, you're going to find
pieces.
Something.
Yeah.
You're going to find part of that black swimsuit.
Right.
Hair, something.
A leg, an arm.
Yeah.
You're going to find pieces of a person.
And, she really stresses there's been absolutely nothing found in this state park to show that something happened there.
Right.
And granted, it is huge.
But
they
still.
Did not search it the way they should have, but still. She says that they did bring in canine and cadaver dogs and search for a month. And
the police did, or the family?
I feel like it was the family, but
finding somebody.
Them searching for her scent or cadaver dogs also never alerted anywhere in there.
Interesting, which, I mean, you'd think there'd be a body or two. So that's also interesting.
Yes, that is a very good point. Yeah.
I mean, because I think of all the times you hear about you find somebody, not the one you're looking for, but you still, especially in vast areas like that.
I was listening to the Green River Killer.
Yeah.
This 4-part series. The bodies that they found on accident.
Right.
And then led them to 3 more.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awful. They talked about the false sense of security when there are cameras in a parking lot in an area and you're expecting that they give you some kind of peace of mind.
Right.
And when they're not working, that is not great. She talked about how many times they were told she can go missing. She's an adult. If she wants to go missing, she can go missing. And she says one thing that she does talk about a lot is, as an adult, to write it out. If I go missing, please look for me. I did not go missing on purpose. Please find me. And signing it and putting it with family or a best friend or somebody, because the amount of pushback that they've had on if she wanted to go missing, she can go missing. And just whether they take that as real or not, one more piece of protection. There's this cycle in a lot of these cases where the police departments are underfunded. They don't have the resources they need, which leads to a poor investigation, if anything at all. And that shows no foul play. if you want the FBI with all of their resources involved, you have to show foul play. But how are you showing foul play when you don't have the resources to do the investigation in the beginning? And just kind of that cycle of it's a catch-22.
That's what, the more and more we talk about cases, I realize it's almost better to be a homicide victim than a missing person, because homicide gives them
the foul
actions,
play. Yes.
something to do. Missing is just like, oh, maybe they left on their own accord, or,
Exactly. They
it's
can
much more difficult.
check a box saying, I'm sure that she didn't want to be found.
Right.
And with really no way to know that. But that cycle, I don't even know what the answer is.
I don't either.
But it is really tough for the family to watch the lack of investigation, the lack of follow-up by police.
Yeah.
She says police told the family that they won't answer questions, and they eventually stopped answering phone calls. And really what that comes down to is they're only going to do that with media pressure.
Yeah, I mean, don't you have an obligation to speak to the family?
Unless nobody knows that you're not.
That's crazy.
It is.
Because, I mean, it's
awful.
Technically should be an open case still.
Right. And, this interview was before they got the new sheriff who said he would look into it.
Yeah.
But that was a long time of inaction.
Right.
Not getting answers from police, wondering if
letting witnesses forget that they actually witnessed something.
Absolutely. Losing that much time is devastating to any kind of conclusion, any kind of answer. And, that's what Cecilia really wants. She wants help building so that the media will cover and will help put that pressure on them, even just to answer questions or do the bare minimum. Get into her phone. See if she was going to meet someone. See what her plans were that day. Dust the car for fingerprints. I mean, I don't even know if you can this long later, but it was really interesting to hear from her and heartbreaking. It seems like for the family, it's exhausting. They just feel like no one is willing to do anything to help move it forward. It's not a case where no one looked. It's a case where a lot of people looked hard, but where the family and the investigators looking for the same woman over 4 years are both telling two different stories about what might have happened to her. And 4 years is a long time to keep asking that same question. On December 17th, 2025, so 4 years since Paola left her grandmother's house, Crimeline announced a $5,000 reward for information leading to her whereabouts. And Osceola County has a new sheriff now, Christopher Blackman, who inherited this case that had by most outward appearances gone quiet. He said publicly that his office is working to bring the case, quote, back to light. Paola's father, Gustavo, marked that same anniversary with about as plain a statement as a parent can make. He said, quote, I need answers. And I can't even imagine. Can't imagine sitting with that. What's happened since then, cautiously, is more than a lot of cold cases ever get. In January of 2026, the sheriff met directly with the family. His office agreed to go back through the original 2 weeks of investigative work, which is the same window that her cousin Cecilia had criticized years earlier. They said they would take a fresh look at what was and wasn't done. The family now finally has been given access to review records connected to Paola's phone.
Well, that's different.
Very, and huge, right?
Yeah.
And they're calling it, in their own words, renewed hope. And I mean, a new sheriff reviewing old case files isn't the same as a break in the case. It doesn't mean that an arrest is coming or anything like that. But hopefully it means that some of those theories, whether it was an accident or an abduction or foul play or trafficking, maybe could be ruled out or confirmed. For a family that spent 2022 telling a reporter that indifference was the thing hurting them most, this feels hopeful, and it's not nothing. As of this recording, Paola Marie Miranda-Rosa remains missing. She would be 35 years old now. Her case is open, and it is, right now, active. There is a comparison that gets made about this case, and I've gone back and forth on how much weight to put on it. Paola disappeared the same general window of time as several missing women, whose names you'd probably recognize instantly if I said them, and hers you may not have known before today. It's not a coincidence. It's also not a simple story. And this wasn't a case where no one looked. And her family raised thousands of dollars, though local news did cover it more than once over 4 years. So it's not that the effort wasn't there at all. It's that the effort and the outcome are two different things. And somewhere in the space between them is a question I don't think I can answer for you. I mean, whether a case like this, a Puerto Rican woman from Central Florida, gets the same sustained national attention, the same everyone's talking about her energy, as cases that look different. What I can tell you is what her family wants you to know, because they've said it themselves at every anniversary and to every reporter who would listen. She had a life. She had her dogs who needed her and were waiting for her at home. She had family she talked to constantly. She had her to-do list of Christmas presents half checked off, sitting in a car that was left in that parking lot. If you know anything at all about what happened to Paola Marie Miranda-Rosa, the Osceola County Sheriff's Office wants to hear from you. Their number is 407-348-2222. And Crimeline is also offering that $5,000 reward we mentioned for any information leading to her whereabouts. And you can report anonymously if that's what makes it possible for you to come forward. Because somebody knows something. And this has been the story of Paola Miranda-Rosa.
That's where we'll leave things for today. Thank you for being here, for listening closely, and letting these stories matter. If you'd like to explore the research behind this episode, our blog is waiting for you at vanishedvoicespodcast.com. We'd love to stay in touch. You'll find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at @vanishedvoicespod. And if this episode left a mark, review or a share helps more than you'd think. It keeps these names and these stories from being forgotten. And as always, refuse to let these voices vanish.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.